Alright guys, this is Justin the Board Game Roamer, and we're going to talk about mining in this video. So I've kind of laid all the components out here that are mining related. In a second I'll show you where the icon is on the board. But basically you're going to have a mining deck, and you're going to separate, when you do the scenario setup, you're going to pull out these cards. There's 8 of these. The mining site is exhausted cards. You're going to create 4 equal decks of mining cards. And you're going to shuffle each of these cards, these 2 cards, into these decks. So put them in there. Give them a quick shuffle. Yay. And so we'll have basically 4 mining decks. And those mining decks are going to be represented on the Dungeon UI board. I'll show you that in a second too. As an A deck, a B deck, and a C deck. Now you're going to have some tokens here. So these are all be shuffled in. So let's just get these out of the way. Bing, bang, boom. Alright, so like I said, on the board here, you're going to see this icon. You notice that this icon matches this unexplored side of this token. Same symbol there, right? So whenever you are setting up the scenario, you're going to take all of these tokens with the unexplored side, and you're going to place them on top of those locations. Now, as you become adjacent to one of these tokens, so let's say that the token is here, and your hero is traveling, we're going this way, boom, boom. Remember, adjacent is the 8 spaces, so this will be considered adjacent to here. Then you can flip this token. It's basically a free action. Flip it over, and you're going to get one of 2 results, okay? Either it's going to say this is not a mining site, or it's going to be a mining site of either A or B or C or D. Okay? These sites, A, B, C, and D, will correspond to the Dungeon UI board, this section up here. So whenever you pick the scenario and setting it up, you'll see that it shows a picture here of 4 mining decks, and it's got a letter A, B, C, D. So you would have created 4 decks. So there's the A deck, for example, B deck, C deck, and the D deck. Okay, so those are going to be there. So let's say, for example, let's say that we chose, that we said this is the A deck, right, the B deck, C deck, D deck. Let's say that our hero moving through, boom, boom. We flip this over. So if it says this is not a mining site, we simply discard this token, goes out. That's just another space that we can move around on, okay? But let's say instead that we flip the token over. Same scenario. We flip it over and it says C. All right, and we'll just say that this deck here represents the C deck that's on that Dungeon UI board. So we've discovered, hey, this is a mining site, and again, there are only going to be 4 of these in the game, all right, in the dungeon. So as an action, if we're adjacent to or on top of a mining location, then we can mine that location. However, before we mine that location, first thing we have to make sure of is that we have a pickaxe. Okay, pickaxes can be picked up from the blacksmith in the village, and it has to be not on the dull. So when you purchase a pickaxe, that pickaxe will start at a new state, right? For 200 gold, you purchase the pickaxe. It starts at full, super sharp, ready to go. Let's focus our inner dwarf, right? That's what we got to have. So assuming that you have that, okay, as an action, you're going to roll a D3. So you can roll a D6 and turn it into a D3, or you can use the D3 provided. So in this case, we rolled a 2. Okay. So what does that mean? That means we're going to take, in this case, because this says mining site C, we're saying that this is the mining site C deck. We're going to draw the top 2 cards from the deck. Okay. Move that over here. So this is what we drew. We drew an amethyst and a jade. Okay, so that was one action. Now, we need to roll. So we've done the mining. So here's the thing. This pickaxe is going to degrade. So after we do a mining action, we roll a d12. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you didn't see that roll, but we rolled a 12. So you're going to look at this pickaxe card, and wherever your slider's at, in this case, it's at a 12. So if we rolled a 12, then that means that the pickaxe got a little bit used, a little bit worn, right? So we would move this down to the 11 to 12, okay? And so basically what's going to happen is every time you take this action, you're going to roll. So let's say that we take this action again. It might be our second action for this hero turn. It may be right the next time this hero comes around. Doesn't matter. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to roll it. Okay, right. Cool. So we have 3 this time. So we're going to draw. We keep these. And also these, just to note, these do not take space up in your inventory. Okay? And these can be put onto Albus, your fetch hound, to go to town and to have gems crafted, right, to put in your weapons and your armor and the stuff that you find in the dungeon while you're still in the dungeon. So we're just going to set these to the side. We do our inventory. We're good to go. So we rolled a 3. It's awesome. We get 3 to draw, right? So we draw the first one. Okay. Uh-oh. Now we got a problem. So remember, we shuffled in 2 of these cards into each mining deck. Whenever we draw this card, it's going to tell us what exactly we need to do. It says this mining site is exhausted. So on the deck, we're going to put this card, okay? And what that basically means is this, for the rest of this run, for the rest of this Dale, the rest of this, before we go to Celebration Day, this mining site can't be used anymore. So even though we're right here by C, and you can see, no pun intended, that there's a bunch of cards still left here, we can't use this mining site anymore, okay? So here's the thing. We still mine, so we're going to roll again. All right, and this time we rolled an 8. So actually, by rolling an 8, that's not the 11 to 12 range. All right, so you see 11 to 12 right there. That's not the 11 to 12 range. So our pickaxe is fine. We don't have to worry about it, right? And so we can move on to another site and do the same thing, okay? So now let's fast forward. Everybody's done. We've done our quest table. Awesome. Great. We've teleported to the village. So part of the what we can do then is this will come off, right? And so now, whenever we go back into the dungeon, we will have the opportunity now to mine this deck, okay? And these mining sites don't change. They are going to stay where they're at. So kind of the first run, you find out where they're at, and then in your second and third subsequent runs, then you can know where to go to try to mine them. So, like I said, you have to have the pickaxe. Note that on the blacksmith's chart, you'll note the cost here for the pickaxe is 200, and again, that was actually put right. It's on the top of the card right there. It says 200 new pickaxe, right? But the cost to resharpen a pickaxe is 100. So if we ever get down here, right? So we had a 7 to 12 range. We rolled our d12. We rolled a 7. It goes down to the dull. At this point, we cannot mine. We've got to get this back to the blacksmith to resharpen. So it just costs us 100 gold. We don't have to purchase a new pickaxe. We just have to resharpen it. And then when we resharpen it, boom, it's literally just like new. And we're good to go. We're off to the races. We can start channeling our inner dwarf again. So there you go, guys. That is mining. Now, why do we mine? So the other part of mining, okay, is a couple things. Number one, we can craft power gems. So when we're talking about crafting, what you can find in the mining deck are as follows, because this is important when we're looking at these recipes. So you will find Zoltanite and Moonstone. That's a very common one. And then you'll find precious gems. There's 6 precious gems: Iolite, Obsidian, Ruby Stone, Sunstone, Jade, and Amethyst. Or you may find this card that's Pebbles and Dirt. So this is a card that's nothing, right? So that basically means you didn't find anything, you thought something was there. Oops, sorry, it's just a regular old rock, nothing special about it. So you can see here at the blacksmith, crafting a power gem is 100 gold. What does that mean? Well, first thing we need to know is that power gems come sort of in two different, I don't want to say flavors because that's not accurate, but there's two kind of types of power gems. There's the circular ones and the square ones. How is that relevant? Why is that relevant? I'm glad you asked. So if you look at your weapons and armor, you notice that in the top right hand corner underneath the rarity symbol, on some of them they will have either a square or a circle. This denotes on that item, that loot item, that this is a place where you could socket a power gem. And just so that you know, generally speaking, the squares are going to be what goes on armor and amulets that are other things that aren't weapons, basically. And then the weapons primarily are going to be the ones that have the circles. So make sure that you pay attention, right, to that icon so that you know. And you can kind of also tell, too, honestly, because most of the time, these circles are going to add some sort of warfare value, right? Whereas these the squares, those gems are going to add some attributes or special, enhance some sort of attribute or some sort of special ability like movement, or add, in this case, this gem is a really good one. It adds +3 to basically all of your attributes, which is insane. So that's what we're looking at. Okay, that's what the recipe. So you pay 100 gold to create these. Well, next question, which I'm also glad you asked, is, well, what do I need to create them? It's an excellent question. So on the back of all of these cards, you will see the cost listed. Okay, and this bottom is going to tell you exactly the same thing that the other side says, but it's always going to have a moonstone and zoltanite cost. So in this case, this gem of enrichment is going to cost 2 moonstone and 2 zoltanite, and then it's going to cost 1 of each of those precious gems. So, all right, so in order for me to have crafted this gem of enrichment, I would need 2 zoltanite, 2 moonstone. That's up here at the top. I'm using my pointer. That's up here at the top. There's those, and then I'll need, in the circle, will tell you the precious gems. In this case, an obsidian. You can tell by the icon, an amethyst, and a jade. So I would have these, and either I would go to town during Celebration Day or send Albus. I would spend all of these cards, all right, and they'll get discarded and out of the game. And I would now have this gem, and then this gem, give it back to, for example, Albus, and he can run it back into the dungeon or during Celebration Day, and I can then socket it, okay, onto in this case, my Hamlet the Destroyer. Now, socketing is a free action, okay? Crafting it is what costs you the gold. So that's one option. The other option is, if you just really need some cash, then you can sell 8 moonstone for 200 gold, 8 zoltanite for 200 gold, or any 8 precious stones. So any combination. It doesn't have to be the same thing. So here's, zoltanite's a bad example, but I've got a stack of precious stones here, right? So any combination, just turn in 8 of those and get 300 gold for the precious stones. So that is how mining works. That is the pickaxe. So hopefully that will help you find some great stuff out there so that you can really enhance your weapons and show those guardians, minions, and champions the old what for, and of course channel that inner dwarf. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. Check out the next video in the Rulebook series, and I will see you on the flip side. Thank you guys. Bye.